The best of the Morning X.
99X.
Peter Conlon over there printing up concert tickets as we speak.
How you doing?
Good, how are you?
Excellent.
Give us a leak, Peter Conlon. Which big show's coming to town? Leak some info.
I can't.
Oh, come on. Come on. Big news that no one knows yet.
There's going to be some good ones around the holidays.
Oh, yeah? Around
Thanksgiving, there's actually two really exciting shows.
When is that U2 concert? Is that the day after Thanksgiving?
I said exciting shows.
Is that when that is? I can't remember.
Is that one of your shows?
There's plenty of seats available. No, it's not. I did them last time, which sold out like first day in an hour, I believe.
That cannot be one of the easier concerts to work with, the U2. That must be, for a concert promoter, a lot of headaches.
That in the Stone Steel Wheels were tremendous productions. You're dealing with about 65 semis equipment-wise.
Wow.
And
What about the artists themselves? Like, take a U2. I mean, anything...
they're really good guys. I like Bono, and they're really nice guys. They're very easygoing and aren't a real pain to deal with. They're actually very nice guys.
But don't you that rock star aura is just surrounding them, though. It's like a little cloud that follows them around.
Yeah, but they do that when they're supposed to. Real professionals in this business realize that, and they have to act that way. But then when they're in a business situation, most of them really kind of take it off and are just people.
What about like the Stones? You've worked with them.
Yeah, they're very nice. I mean, Keith Richards is one of the nicest, most approachable people around. Just a really nice guy.
I actually have met him and have met them, and you're right. They're nicer than you might think.
What about like Tiffany?
Who?
The mall tour. Was that a tough production?
Tiffany. I never did that one. I did Debbie Gibson.
Did you really?
Did you really?
Unbelievable, at the Omni. And they wanted to do a video, and we were doing it down the Omni, and we gave away a lot of seats because it didn't sell real well. And right in the middle of it, the lightning storm knocked out the power in the Omni.
Oh.
So pitch black with Debbie Gibson on stage.
Well, the lights go on, and then we went back on, and her mother was her manager, which is always a wonderful situation.
Oh, yeah.
And wanted to scream and yell about the lightning storm and basically what could we have done to prevent it. And
talk to God.
Yeah, I said, that's really something we don't control, but...
Well, you should have told her, in the concert business, you know what a lightning storm during a Tiffany concert's called, a Debbie Gibson concert called? A blessing in disguise.
Yeah, I think it was actually a sign from God. I mean, he was probably mad at us that we were doing the show.
We were talking about these riders, and can you name names on some of these or not?
Yeah, some ones, the ones that don't tour anymore. No.
Right, the ones that are dead and gone.
Some of them are, actually, I was because when Jimmy mentioned it to me, I started thinking, and there's two things. One is that it kind of gives you a little glimpse sometimes into the person and who you're working with, which is good. And other times it gets into the lunatic fringe area where they're just asking for things that are bizarre. But
let's go into the lunatic fringe area. First of all, you've heard that John Tesh thing, right? Did you hear us talking about that on your way in?
No, I've worked with John.
Apparently, then I read this in People magazine. He has a thing in his rider that his dressing room has to have 2 WWF action figures in it, and the only reason is to make sure you have read every piece of copy in that rider. Is that common? Will people throw in little?
Well, that's the famous Van Halen brown M&Ms. That was the reason they put that in there. They really wanted to see if people were paying attention to their riders, and they figured everybody would call screaming, "We're not going to hire someone to pick out the brown M&Ms," but all these promoters hired someone to pick out the brown M&M.
Huh.
So they put it as a joke, and it ended up being, taken seriously.
Lunatic fringe. Give us an example.
I think we were talking about the Diana Ross, which I call the Lot's wife clause.
The what?
The Lot's wife clause. In the Bible when you looked at, she had actually a clause in there that you could not make eye contact if you walked into her anywhere backstage. You were to turn your head away immediately and face an opposite direction.
How could you ever sign a contract agreeing to that?
Well, we didn't. We crossed that through,
Oh, you did?
Oh, yeah.
And they didn't have a problem with that?
They kick and scream, and I was on the phone with lawyers for weeks on that show.
You can't look at Diana Ross.
Yeah, you're not supposed to, and only speak with her if she is to address you, and then you may respond to Ms. Ross.
To Miss Ross.
If that must make the artist, though. You got to think if that contract circulating around the country. You got to think people aren't going to like you too much.
Yeah, it doesn't help, that kind of stuff. It really doesn't, and you don't know whether it's them or some overzealous assistant thinking that, but it
looking out for them.
Yeah, they were in arenas, which they're not anymore. They used to make you string this pipe and drape from the stage to the dressing room. Barry Manilow did that, where you where they had a chute going directly, and you weren't allowed to look at them.
Wait a minute. This time out, he had that?
No, that was the old days. Yeah, that was the arena days.
And he had a thing where he could walk from the dressing room to the stage without being seen?
Right. They did this shoot, and you weren't supposed to talk to him either.
This interview isn't over. More after a quick break. You can also find it and more on the Morning X with Barnes and Leslie podcast. You're inside the best of the Morning X.